Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is the High Caliber Man podcast with myself, Hugh Mayers, and I'm joined by sister, the sis, the sisters from Sisters Talk, Naomi and Fiona. Greetings, sis, or ladies, should I say?
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Hey,
How are you ladies doing?
I am
good, thank
well,
you.
feeling on top of the world and feeling energized. I'm good.
Right,
Nice.
all right. How you doing, Naomi? You okay?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm feeling rough and rugged, but I'm gonna soldier on. This little, the winter sniffles has caught up with me, but
Oh,
I'm not
bless
gonna let
you.
it dominate me, man. This is such an important conversation I wanted to have with you ladies about which we'll get onto Amos Wilson and the statement he made. I tried to jump on your IG show on a Monday evening. I'm gonna put a link
Yes.
for the show for your show in the description as well, so that any viewers can kind of like get in contact or check out your Monday evening show. But
hmm
it basically came out this video that I sent you guys about Amos Wilson talking about how when a group wants to destroy another group, they impact their relationships,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm trying to say to you, they kind of like use it as a way to hold them in check or dominate them or keep the social order in place. I think he was talking about black Americans vis-a-vis white Americans, and how black relationships and black love have been affected. But we was trying to talk that evening, and man, the gremlins was out. The gremlins was out. The gremlins was out. I
IG
logged
didn't
out, I
didn't like
logged back in, I
yeah.
logged back out, I logged back. Wouldn't you know what I mean? I think I was. Somebody said I'm a whole minute behind you. I remember somebody put up
Yeah.
in the comments, I'm a whole
Mm,
minute behind. It's crazy. It's
mm.
crazy. But nothing happens before its time, and so I want to welcome
Yeah.
you to the space anyway. And thank you both for making the time. So
Thank you
I
for the
mean,
invite. Thank
no,
you for
man,
the invite.
more than welcome, more than welcome, always welcome. So tell me, um, what do you think about Amos's statement overall? The idea of I think he's leaning towards black conflict in relationships, in marriage, in romantic love or afromantic love, right? And remember, as we were speaking earlier before we started the show, this man passed in 1995, but the
Mm,
context of how he
hmm
was talking, it was like he made that statement about 18 months ago,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Or
Yeah.
even today.
last year. You know what I mean? Like in
Yeah,
Yeah,
2023. You
exactly.
know what I mean? So yeah, what's your
yeah.
thoughts? What's your thoughts about his actual statement?
Go on then, let you go first.
Okay, thank you.
Go on, our kid.
My our
Go
kid.
on, Aki.
Haven't heard that in ages. Um, I fully agreed with what he was saying, and all the statements that he made is very much relevant. Um, we've seen and we're experiencing an extreme increase in the conflict between us,
hmm
and most definitely between us as men and women. And to be more specific, um, to our community, between Black men and women.
hmm
Um, and we're seeing it even more so on, on the platforms of social media
Oh my God. That's
with
where the
all,
war takes place. That's what it looks like the war takes place,
yeah,
Yeah.
man.
yeah,
hmm
it really, really does. And unfortunately, this war has and is leaving a lot of us very lonely. We
Mm.
are so alone. And I feel as though I get this really sad feeling when I do watch the arguments play out on screen on the social platforms, that a lot of these people are really, yeah, they're lonely, they're angry, they're frustrated. And instead of addressing or trying to figure out the reasons of why they feel this way, they choose to take part in this theatre production And
That's an interesting term. Let me stop you there, though. I don't want to break your wisdom, but you use that word theatre production. You got to expand on that. Why? I don't want to cut your flow, but could you expand on that? Because that's an interesting way of expressing it. It's very
yeah,
theatrical. It's very Punch and Judy. But yeah,
it
say some
is.
more.
It is very theatrical. Everyone is, you know, very expressive and dramatic, and everybody wants to be heard, and there's always something going on. Every millisecond there's something being said and there's something going off, or even if something isn't being said, there's an eye roll, there's a, do you know what I mean, there's dirty looks, there's something, there's
Very.
always something.
Would you say that it's a passive aggressive space as well as aggressive? But there's a lot of passive aggressive antics that take place in those spaces as well. A lot
Yeah,
of cutting down
yeah,
and.
yeah, 100%. The cutting down, gosh, like, yeah, as you're just saying, the cutting down, the first word that comes to me, it's disgusting. It's embarrassing and it's disgusting. And these individuals really don't understand that they are playing into the reason why they are lonely in the first place. If you go into, for me personally, and I say this personally, if I'm entering an argument or a debate, one, I can argue, I don't like to argue. However, if I choose to enter an argument or debate, my focus is and will always be the solution, not, you know, I'm not going to say I've always been like this, because I haven't. I've had to learn to become this way. And I have to learn to remain this way also. And then also, you know, continue to learn to even do better than who and where I am now as a person. However, it's not about, you know, I'm right, you're wrong. It's, if we really want, and of course, these people that are debating on these platforms, they're not in relationships with one another. However, I still see it as a one, like, we need to have respect for one another, and also focus on how can we get to a solution. We can get out all of the, you know, all the things that annoy us, or you know, gripers, etc. However, it's just like, okay, then how can we move closer together? How can we create some harmony? You know, how can we hold ourselves accountable? You know?
I don't hear that phrase self accountable. There is a lot of talk about accountability, but it seems to be
A lot
more
of people
about
fail to do it.
holding the other gender accountable, holding the other sex accountable, should I say?
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't hear that. There's less talk about holding myself accountable.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I hold myself accountable.
Because I mean, that's
Majority,
the most important person to hold yourself is to hold
Yeah.
yourself accountable.
it
It doesn't matter if my perspective on that is that it doesn't matter whether all women do, some women do, lots of women don't do, or lots of women don't hold themselves accountable. The most important person to hold accountable for my self-development, for my advancement in life, is for me to hold myself accountable.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And that isn't part of the dialogue. That isn't part of the dialogue, you know.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it's easy to do. It's bloody well challenging. It really is. Because excuse my French, but the shit I've had to hold myself accountable to. Do you know what I mean? It's
I hear
like,
that. I hear that, man.
it hurt and it hurts, you know. However, when I have held myself accountable, I feel liberated. I feel, in all honesty, I feel liberated, because I know that, you know what, you see that situation that I was recently, or in the past that I was in, I can change the narrative. I have the power to change the narrative. You know, so even when you're here women talking about, oh, all men are this, and you know, there was something that I saw and was watching recently, and the woman was basically saying that all black men are lazy and all they want to do is play on the PS4. The first question that came to mind was, the black men that I chat to, that I even roll with, that I hold close to, I can't really count even one of them that plays a PS4. So that's a you problem. It's the men that you're choosing. This isn't all black men. I know a fair few, you know, or even more than a fair few. I know a lot of black men that are ambitious and hard workers, and they're carving out their visions that are absolutely outstanding in this world. They are not lazy. So again, that's a you problem, because the men that you see and that you're choosing to surround yourself with are lazy, are bums, are playing PS4. So the question has to go to, why are you surrounding yourself with these peoples to then be putting them down for what they choose to do? You get it?
You went there. I've got a question. I'm gonna come back to you. Naomi. But remember, it's a free conversation. Jump in at any time. But I want to bring Fiona in.
Hi.
What do you think of? Hey, Fiona, what do you think about that? Like, because Naomi saying something that made me think about, we attract certain types of people. What are we putting out, for example? So for for a man to just say, oh, all women are money grabbers. There definitely are women that are money grabbers, definitely. Okay, but all women ain't money grabbers. So, if you find yourself, I'm just using that as a wild example, right? But if you find yourself around money hungry women, what is it that you're doing, or where are you going, or what? There's something that you're doing, maybe, that you could review, right? If you want to change that to grow. Do you think that both men and women, but what's your thoughts about that? Are we surrounding ourselves? Do we kind of recreate something that's going on inside of us, or is it something playing out? What's playing out, do you think?
Is it okay if I answer your first question, then come back to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Because your first question was if we agree with the comment.
Oh yes, clip, indeed.
So, like Naomi said, I agree with what he said. And I touch on something Naomi said in regards to the narrative that's being pushed, especially in social media and in general. And the reason why I say that is because we're falling for that narrative. And what I mean by that is 80% or even maybe 90% of these chat shows that we see are very negative. So it's literally the woman shouting at the man shouting at the woman. Where are the ones that are about loving that black man and loving the black woman and loving each other? It's very rare you very see that. What you see, what they push is the fight. That's why on social media, they're pushing the fight. For example, like you see in the music industry, the sex sells, they're pushing the sex, they're pushing the fighting, the gun chat, they're pushing that in hip hop. They're pushing that.
I know what you mean. Whether it's grime or drill or hip hop or
they're pushing
whatever,
the negative. They're pushing the negative.
There's a lot of violent,
negative sells,
conflict-driven type of
it's conflict stuff.
Stories.
So for me,
yeah.
A lot of what I see, they're pushing the negative, and we fall for that. What we want to see is more of, okay, instead of the red flags in a relationship, what makes you love that black man? What makes you love that black woman? We don't see that. We don't see it because, again, they don't want to see us together thriving.
Okay. And what about the second question, the second component? Have you finished? Have you finished? Though?
Yeah.
I don't want to cut your flow, but this thing about what we attract, magnetism, and we recreate what's going on inside of us, for example, or does it tell a story about what's going on inside of us?
That we do. One thing you can there's a phrase that I heard in a movie many years ago, and it says, you can't change the people that are around you, but you can change the people that you're around. And I'm a strong believer in that. And I do believe.
Sorry, run that one again. Run that one again. You can't drop them kind of like, you can't drop them one and whiz by. That's deep.
Cannot change the people around you. You can't change people.
Right.
But you can change the people you're around. So you can remove yourself from that circle of people.
Yeah. All right, so I'm around some negative people.
If you're around the negativity,
very negative, I don't really have the power to change their life, but I could excuse myself from that company and keep it moving.
Exactly. Excuse yourself from that conversation. Excuse yourself from that negativity. Don't focus on it, and place yourself around the people you need to be around that are going to elevate you. Because being around those people that are very negative connotation, that ain't got much going on, and you're wanting to thrive, you ain't going to get nowhere. Remove yourself from that. And like your question there is, in regards to, I believe that where we are in life sometimes, and especially when it comes to partners, one, we kind of attract that person that is a replica of ourselves, if that makes sense. So we can attract someone where we are at the stage of our life, we'll attract that. But subconsciously, we don't see it. We literally don't see it. I'm a very firm, wherever you are in that point in life, you could be down on your luck, depressed, wherever you are, down on your luck, whatever you try, but wherever your mindset is, you're attracting that. You are attracting it subconsciously, and you don't. That's why for me, like I said, it's important. Surround yourself by the right people. Do that work on yourself. It's so important. And within the Black community, we have this. Well, when we say counseling, when we say I'm mad for mad people, you're not mad. Why you got do that work, sis. Do that work, bro. Do that work on yourself. Do the self-development every day. I see every day is a school day, and you are not too old and you're not too young to learn. There's people all in their 80s going to university and getting masters. You know what I mean? Our brains are like sponges. We are not too old to learn. We're not too old to learn about ourselves. I'm always learning about myself, something new, maybe something negative or maybe something, but I'm learning about myself.
True that, in a sense where
if I need to change something, I will see what do I need to work on? Let me work on that.
You know what is interesting? You say that sometimes you find out more about yourself when you're in an intense situation, whether it's an intensely good situation, a big success comes through your way, or when you take an L in some kind of material level or whatever level it is, emotional connection with whatever it is, right? Especially if you wasn't expecting it and you might have had a self-perception. I'm kind of this person, I deal with things, but then the situation that comes about is stark and you see a different side of yourself. And that's about, like learning about yourself. But I wanted to touch on something as well that you brought up about the conflict. You made a good point about, I think you made a good point about the conflict. A lot of the popular podcasts and conversations, the most high profile ones, right? They seem to be, I want to use that word toxic. Sometimes toxic is abused or just lose currency because it's abused a lot. So something that's lose currency when it's too common. But it's very intensely conflict driven type of conversations. And there is a part of that I think which deals with a side of Black culture. Not Black culture in its entirety, but a side of Black culture, Western Black culture, for whatever the term means. Because there's some people that say, we would look at them as Black, but they might say, I'm not Black. And I'm going to agree with them. If you don't want to be, if you don't see yourself, because it's a self-identification as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's true.
If you want to identify with your ethnic group, your tribe, your language of origin, then you're blessed for that. I'm not fighting you. I'm not begging you to be the part of the thing. We're Irish still, but you over there, so me over here. You know what I mean? But for people who identify as Black, you know what I'm trying to say? An element of that culture, whether it's dance or music, whether it's the hip hop culture or the societies that birth those expressions, right? It's very, the conflict and who the wickedest one and the baddest one, and everybody's alpha. Everybody is alpha. Imagine that you got like 20 man, but everyone of them is alpha. Alpha by the definition means like the leader, but everybody's an alpha. It's just unrealistic, but there's an element of our culture that is very attracted to that. But I think there's something else on the underside of that is that, and I want to get both of your feedback about this, is that it's like in relationships, right? When it gets real, is vulnerability, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it gets real, is can you express I'm frightened of losing you, or I feel a certain way, or what we're going through right now is taking me back to when I was a kid, or it's taking me back to a time when I felt unsafe or whatever, and I feel a bit dysregulated, or those are kind of like more grown-ups.
Yeah.
those are a bit harder. But to just pout or push up your face or say something cutting, you know, and be tough and I can represent myself, that's the kind of easy side, isn't it? But to let your guard down and show vulnerability, that's a different level. So I'm wondering, I want to get your both of your feedback. I'm wondering, is this podcasting, these popular podcasts, it's easy because every woman can come up there and be a boss chick. And every man out there has got no problem. He knows everything. He knows how to check a woman and keep her in her place. And he says the right thing at the right time. And that's why she should submit to me. And he's on point. So he's kind of like one bag of perfect man and one bag of perfect woman.
That's what them think. Nobody perfect.
So hold at me. Tell me what you think about that. Will you tell me what you think about that? Because nobody ain't got no chicks in their army, you know. Everybody's just on point.
Yeah, but then as you say that, like the perfect man and the perfect woman, if they're so perfect, they'll be able to blend and come together. But they can't. But then also with the conflicts that we see on these channels, on these platforms, it's all clickbait. There's people that I know, you know, and just from studying the way that they do things on their shows, they will say the most outlandish thing because they know that the more aggressive or you know, the subject is conflicts, or there's conflict with the communication between them and the other guests, people will most likely chime in and will like their post, will view their post, will share the post because there's been a big explosive argument. So, and these social media platforms encourage that. They encourage it because you have to really deep it, like how many people, you know, or even like a percentage. I can't really think of one right now, but I'm not going to say that I haven't seen any, you know, clips where it's all loving and they're speaking, you know, with a loving vibration, and that they don't get high views. However, now I see people get bored. I would see people would get bored if the conversation was just based on love. If you know that they, you know, so it's like it's a mix of two sides of like what the people want and then what these social media platforms are allowing. Also, they're allowing the arguments, you know, the nasty words and explicit content, you know, and
you said,
I think it's like you said,
the clickbait, everything is so and so, what so and so destroy so and so, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not even what's trending at the moment, or what was trending like maybe a week ago, but it's got kabillion hits in such a short period of time. Like Cat Williams, right? No problem with Cat, does his thing, brilliant guy. No problem with, well, I've got some problems with Steve Harvey. I mean, I could critique all of them because no one is not perfect, right? But he had a right to say what he said. But I know that it appealed to the black world because it was like, well, he's really exposing, he's destroying, he's, you know what I mean? As opposed to, you know, Cat tells his story. Cat shares his elevation. Cat showed how he became independent and circumnavigated white domination. It wasn't about that. It was about, the energy was more, look how he's rocking up these other men and, you know, dismembering other black comedians. There was still an element of black on black violence to it. Quote unquote, not violence, but you're going to try black on black conflict though.
I think the way I viewed that, and I think when it first licked, when it first started, he was on one already. He was there already. And then I watched an interview that Shannon Sharp had afterwards with someone else, and he was literally saying they've been trying to get that interview for over 1 year.
Yeah.
Trying to get him on the show for 1 year, and it just never happened. And he said before, he said, and I checked it out because I was like, Kat's just started talking, and my man hasn't asked him one question.
Yeah.
He was
no, he started on 9.
He literally
his opening statement was a 9, so it wasn't hard for him to go to 10 and start drop nuclear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for me, it was as if Kat wanted to clear the air because some people have been going on and chatting. He's like, nah, now it's my
and he
time.
never cleared his name.
Like, you know,
it was masterful. It was. I must say, from an oratory point of view, it was masterful because
he's a very, very clever man.
No, he's sharp. Because Shannon looked like he had a bag of questions that he didn't even. They were parked up because it got too saucy. It got too interesting. Took him off script.
Yeah, he knows very well how to articulate himself. His word game, his word up.
Must be them 3,000 books he would read every.
He's not no fool. He is not no fool.
Yeah, when he said he reads 3,000 books a year, or what was it, something other like that.
He said that when he was younger, that's what he
did. Yeah.
That was wild. That was wild. But
for me, like you said, I think a lot of people, a majority of people were on that because, like you said, is dissing the man, so they want to know what is dissing this.
It's deeper. If you really penny it, it's deep. It was, if you really unpack what he's saying, there was a lot deeper than that. But when you watch the comment, you watch the podcast which were discussing the fallout. Because our culture is very much our culture, this black culture, this Western black culture. I would say African Americans, African Caribbean cultures in particular, right? They're very, we are very shame orientated. I don't know if it's something they did to us during slavery and made us feel shame, but we do damage each other. We like to shame and disrobe and dishonor and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's very cultural as well. Not saying that it don't happen in other cultures, like where they want to regulate a woman because she wants to marry out the culture, so they will shame her, or the man wants to do something with his money, so they shame her. So obviously shame plays a role in societies. It's not just black people.
And I think
but we do love our expose and a well, did you see when Ninja Man and Shabba drop off the stage, or did you see when, like, we like that? There's something too juicy about that.
And I think the same thing as well is like when go back a few years now, when there was all that stuff with Monique, and she was getting shamed, and all the black people, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't. And I'm like, I never forget when she did her interview with Steve Harvey, and she said, "But brother, not once did you call me and say you could have picked up the phone." She goes, "Yeah, maybe what I said, maybe I shouldn't have said something, but you could have picked up the phone and said, sis, and tell me, but you didn't. You didn't do it." And you know, she said, integrity over money. What did he say?
Well, he was saying that
I got too much people relying on me to make principle.
But at the same time,
he said it out his own mouth. He said his own mouth.
I've got too much people relying on me. But from when you drop your integrity, what about when the money goes? Where go on?
Yeah, what you
keep your integrity, and that money will come to you regardless. Because look, she's back, her money's coming. Yeah, but he was like, nah, it's too much people.
What I found amazing about that is he wasn't even speaking to a poor man. It's not like they were talking to a man that was struggling to pay for his, I don't know, his one bedroom apartment in New York or something like that. The guy's a multi-millionaire and he's frightened of white people and fighting like dog frightened for like puss frightened for dog. Like, it's strange.
I think Steve brought Monique on there to basically shame her. It turned out it didn't work. It didn't work. And when you're dealing with people like Monique and Cat Williams, you have to be not even just 100%, 200% on your game, because they are highly intelligent people, and no form of wordplay is going to confuse them. They know what they need to say, they know what their message is, and they know their truth. and their message has not changed.
Yeah.
When you listen to other people, their message, their story, it changes a bit. But with Kat and Monique, their story has not changed.
Yeah, man. Well, the receipts are out there.
Yeah.
Cedric
look,
is a good entertainer, but he did teeth some jokes, and we're gonna move on back to. I'm gonna bring it back to relationships, but
yeah,
I think we can agree on that. He teeth the joke. It happened. People teeth. Man, write hip hop song, and you play a clip from 20 years ago, and the Notorious B.I.G. is great, but wait, did this guy, this fat guy from another state make a record just like that 2 years before, and all kind of stuff? It happens. It's art. It's a world of art, right? People nibble a little piece here. I was watching a recent interview with Fireman Caper, and he was saying about how Ninja Man teeth a couple of his songs way back before he was famous and Ninja Man was famous. It happens. It's just life. It's you know what I mean? And we keep it moving. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, when they deny, it's the denial, and I think it's really stupid to deny that you've stolen, because what they did, they stole something that did not belong to them. If they was to have took a little pinch and then credited and say that they was inspired by this other creative, then that's different. But when you outright steal somebody, and then you think, it's just like common sense. And this is where not everybody has common sense. So it's not common, it's just sense. If you have sense, you would know that the person that this material originated from, it's on video somewhere. So even if it's not floating around right now, one day that material is going to float around. So all these years that you've been denying, everyone's going to be shown that you have been lying. Do you really want the embarrassment?
And there's something about a power. There's something about a power dynamic in that as well. Because what it seems like is when you are not as famous and you take a bit of a song and somebody famous inspires you and you write a bit in your song, it is what it is, isn't it? Right? If you don't get a royalty issue, it's kind of like, people will just, she must have liked Madonna, or she must have liked Shabba, or he must have liked so and so artist because that reminds me of this, or it sounds like so and so song, right? That's one power play, right? But the other person's wealthy and known and got their respect. But if you're you're both coming up, or somebody becomes famous with your work. Imagine you writ something and you don't get no accolade for it, and the next thing you know, they're going double platinum, or they're getting booked based on your piece of work. That's when it must be very difficult, and that's when it becomes a bitter issue. You know what I mean? That's a power up play. But I want to bring it back to relation. We went somewhere though. It's good though. We're freestyling. We're going out there. I'm gonna bring it back to my. You're doing. To me, I feel like I'm Shannon Sharp and you look like Cat Williams. You took me, took me off my notes. So I'm gonna bring it back to the love and to the reconciliation.
Get your reference cards out. Get your reference cards back out.
I got my cards back here. My research team are prompting me. My cameraman, my sound man. Do you know what I mean? The woman that does my wardrobe, they're all here and they're prompting me to come back on, get back on job, get back on task. So as I mess about my cards, tell me about, ladies, tell me about love and black on black reconciliation. Tell me a little bit about, because I know that's a lot. That's why I sent you the original video with Amos Wilson, in all seriousness, because I know that's a big part of the